Exploration has always been a means of survival for us as human beings. In space, as it has been on Earth, we have found answers and opportunities to how we may prosper. The technology is already available for this. There's more technology in your cell phone than there was in the first Apollo spaceship in the 60s. My thesis is that privatizing the space exploration industry will improve technology, will inspire youth, and will ignite new sources of prosperity for entrepreneurs. I'd like to first talk about advancing technology. NASA and the military's research and development since the Cold War has been focused on weaponry. We've had 3 space shuttle designs, 2 from the US and 1 from Russia. The X Prize in 2004 gathered 26 teams from 7 different countries, all with their own designs, all completely privately funded. The X-15 was a spacecraft in 1950 developed from the military, which was a low-cost, reusable suborbital spacecraft. It was discarded for the Apollo program, which cost taxpayers what is in today's terms $100 billion. Computer technology in the public sector that was used only for the military, GPS, and the IRS. In the private sector, it's given us personal computers, the internet, microprocessors, e-commerce, news, shipping, tracking, many more things. In 2003, there were 3 flights into space from space agencies. Everyone died. In 2004, there were only 2 flights. As of right now, commercial flight has already beaten the military into space. The next point I'd like to talk about is entrepreneurs. History has long known that NASA's got a monopoly on space. It is a farce that if something is technologically challenging, that has to be expensive. Private companies will help reduce costs in both transportation and technology development. They'll bring new markets, new industries, innovation, and energy. The Augustine Committee asserted in an article in the Wall Street Journal in 2009 that the commercial space flight will benefit the economic competitiveness of the nation. That's something we could desperately use at this time. I'd like to turn your attention to the diagram where I've separated both the public and private organizations and how they would work together in a partnership. Here you can see the agencies involved are international space agencies and NASA, and from the private side there are various and very diverse entries such as entrepreneurs and suppliers for vehicles and components, aerospace companies, private financiers, big energy, big media, and resource mining operations. There's an abundance of minerals available in space and publicly, and this is what their contribution would be. And you can see there's a great number of benefits on both sides. Most importantly, for public organizations, a lower cost of both development, testing, and operation. And for the private side, it actually alleviates most of the risk involved in public space exploration. My last point would be to talk about the next generation. Prize has always been an incentive for youth. The X Prize given for the first spaceship to send a person into suborbit twice within a 14-day period was delivered in 2004 for $10 million. There is now a lunar X Prize for $30 million. Another purpose in exciting our next generation would be the aging STEM workforce. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And 26% of those working in this field are retirement eligible within the next 5 years. India, Japan, and China have all modernized their education system to adhere to the new high-tech industry. A 2002 report from the Presidential Commission stated that the intellectual capital is one of the nation's most important sources of benefit to society, and its loss would be potentially catastrophic. High-risk, high-reward programs were always a recruiting tool used by NASA in the 60s. The average age of an engineer working at NASA during the Apollo missions was 26 years old. Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astronomer and also an educator, said that he can't tell students to be an aerospace engineer and develop a 20% more fuel efficient aircraft and expect them to get excited. What he can say is to become an aerospace engineer and build the first piloted craft to survive the atmosphere and Mars. 4 of the top 10 grossing movies of all time are all about space, so the interest for the next generation is already there. Once again, my thesis is that privatizing the space exploration industry will provide better technology, will provide new avenues of revenue for entrepreneurs, and will reignite the curiosity and excitement with our next generation. Are there any questions?
Yes. Will private investment keep the public from benefiting from what's discovered?
Private investment has led to the first flight. It gave us the computer, the internet, our cell phone, and several other technological innovations. If investors want a return on their funding, the only way to make that possible is to make everything accessible. Are there more questions?
Is there more risk involved with frequent flight testing and experimenting from small private companies?
In 1908, there were 12 pilots in the world. In 1912, there were hundreds of types of planes in 39 different countries, and it took 30,000 attempts to give us the few successful concepts we use today in flight. It took NASA 20 years to build a reusable spaceship. It took Burt Rutan, the winner of the 2004 X Prize, 6 years from idea to successful test to develop Spaceship One. Kennedy once said, "We do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard."